Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, what's up? McJibbin here, back another reaction video. Let's do another History Matters video. Wasn't recommended, I just saw it, I wanted to do it. I wanted to watch it, and why not just react to it? Why don't people duel anymore? Go. Original video down in the description below. Like always, how's it going, guys? Let's get into it.
Let's be reasonable. If a person insults you, then you have every right to fight to the death in order to restore your honour. As you have noticed, we don't duel anymore. But why not? When did dueling become illegal, and why did people want it to stop? Now, the height of dueling occurred around the late 18th and early 19th centuries, but dueling continued in some countries into the 20th. In Britain and Russia, formal codes of chivalry were drawn up and sold alongside sets of dueling pistols. And as late as 1894, the Russian Tsar Alexander III signed off on legislation formalizing how Russian officers were allowed to duel each other. However, you should know that in wider Russian society, the practice of dueling was dying off and largely seen as barbaric. Whereas in France, dueling was banned by Louis XIV, who saw them as needless spilling of blood. Yet the last duel there took place in 1967. Now, for the most part, of blood. Yet the last duel
the baguette
there took place in 1967. Now, for the most part, although there were regional differences, duels worked like this. A person would say or do something to insult another, and the insulted party would demand satisfaction. Satisfaction being either an apology or a duel. Now, not everyone could challenge everyone. A junior officer in the army couldn't challenge a general or a high-ranking member of the nobility, for example. Now, you didn't have to accept and
that makes sense. Imagine a general is like berating an officer or a soldier, and they're like, "Fine, I want a duel." And the general would have to do it, or else he'd be seen as like a coward. But yeah, good idea, so that you don't lose all your generals to soldiers who might be a better shot.
Put your life on the line, but it could lead to you being called a coward, and that wouldn't do. If you did accept, then as the one being challenged, you often had the right to choose the weapon used, most commonly swords or pistols. For example, in Germany or Italy, swords were commonly used, whereas in Britain, the US and Russia, pistols were much more common.
I don't think of, whenever I think of a duel, I never think of a sword. The more I think of, like, if I think about before guns and they wanted to do a duel, or even with guns, but they wanted to be kind of more formal and, you know, classic about their approach to dueling each other. Yeah, but I just think of a pistol.
Common and of course more deadly. Anyway, after choosing your weapons, you would meet at a set time and date, and there would be a last chance to come to an agreement. You would bring your second with you, that is a close friend and representative, to hash things out with your opponent's second, and if nothing could be agreed on, then it was fight time. So why did dueling hash things out with your opponent's agreement? You would bring your second with you, that is a close friend and representative, to hash things out with your opponent's second, and if nothing could be agreed on, then it was fight time.
Oh, interesting. So before they would even, I thought a second would just be there to, like, you know, take the body away if their friend died and say, like, yeah, it was legitimate, it was a duel, he lost. But I guess it's kind of like they're also like a last line of some way of hashing out the conflict with words, and if they fail, then you start dueling. That's interesting.
So why did dueling fall out of favour? Well, for a start, the fact that so many young officers were killing each other meant that it was affecting Britain and America's ability to wage war. George Washington, for example, had issues with stopping was affecting.
So much emotions and thought can be conveyed with just a simple lowering of the eyelid.
Britain and America's ability to wage war. George Washington, for example, had issues with stopping officers from killing each other during the War for Independence. Another reason was that there were concerns, especially in the church, that many people were using duels as a means to legally commit suicide, an accusation thrown at Alexander Hamilton, and a fear that was especially prevalent in the United States. In Britain, there was a great deal of many people were using duels as a means to legally commit suicide.
It was illegal to commit suicide, or I guess it's for like religious reasons.
There were concerns, especially in the church, that many people were using duels as a means to legally commit suicide.
Okay, so I don't know if it was illegal to commit suicide. That'd be a little ridiculous. But I guess in the Catholic Church, it's not good to. I think killing yourself is like a sin or something like that. And so this is like a way out to like commit suicide, but technically it's not suicide.
side, an accusation thrown at Alexander Hamilton and a fear that was especially prevalent in the United States. In Britain, there was a great deal of outrage in the 19th century as many wealthy aristocrats were able to kill in a duel and walk free. The reasons why duelists got on centuries...
Was that his butler or something? It looks like a butler. You didn't like my muffins. You son of a bitch.
The aristocrats were able to kill in a duel and walk free.
The
reasons why duelists got off with literal premeditated murder was because the judges came from the upper classes and were very sympathetic to the idea of personal honour. In the US, dueling was banned fairly early on in many of the northern states, but these laws weren't enforced. When Aaron Burr killed Hamilton, he was charged with murder, but none of these stuck because, it was a duel between two upstanding citizens and they both knew the risks. Whilst in the northern states the duel was fairly rare as of the early 19th century, it stayed popular in the South, particularly in South Carolina where new dueling etiquettes were written in the 1830s. And it was the Civil War that finally killed dueling in America. So many people dying really took the shine off of shooting your fellow Americans over things like honour. Now, dueling had always been subject to some mockery, but as of the Victorian era, people began to see it as horrendously outdated. As the conditions of modern warfare became widely known, the notion of the aristocracy somehow being able to maintain their honour by shooting someone in Wimbledon was seen as laughable. And in the end, across Britain and America, the duel slowly fell out of fashion. It wasn't legislated away as such, although duelling in the military died out in Britain when widows' pensions were withheld from men killed in duels. Instead, duelling saw a slow death as upper and middle class culture changed to a more moderate means.
Do you think that was because of like pension fraud or something like that? Or like the wife would like instigate some, like say her wife wanted the husband to die and like to take the like life insurance or pension or whatever, and so she like insulted some guy and knew that he would insult her back, and then her husband would have to, maybe I'm just thinking too much, scheming too much. that goes to my head.
Lawsuits. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Great episode. Thank you for making. Awesome video like always. Great channel.
Patreon supporters.
I'll come out with another one later today, guys. Hope you're doing well. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, slap it, hit the bell icon. See when my next video comes out. Go check out the channel, obviously. See you guys.